impossible creatures. I'm so excited to get back into our story. We are reading The Heat of Living Gold. So I'm so intrigued as to see what is happening in our story next. So let's check it out. First let's go back. We had a very intense last chapter where Night Hand was fighting the horses, demon horses with horns. What are they called again? What are these demon horses? The Carcadons. Oh, they're very scary. So we know that it was really scary. They kind of smelled like rotting flesh, which was a very interesting detail that I don't know if I needed. And now the journey continues on. We are on 232, kind of getting towards the end of the story. So let's see what happens. Here we go. Nobody was laughing a day later as they sailed under a clear sky closer to the island of Living Gold. Okay, that's good progress. It was Irian who first noticed Night Hand's wound was getting worse. So yes, Night Hand is very brave. He was able to save them, but unfortunately he did get stuck by one of these nasty horns. So that's a little worrisome. Christopher, wiping the salt from the boat's light hatches with a rag, saw her turn suddenly to the berserker. Night Hand, your arm. What about it? It's swollen and it smells. Yikes. It did. Usually, I'm no doctor, but I know that if your wound is smelling, first of all, he did get wounded by a very smelly animal, so I don't know if that's it. Or if a wound is smelly, then I think that it's infected. Again, I'm no doctor, but I don't think this is good, Night Hand. As Night Hand took off his jacket, the stench of something animal left to rot became unmissable. Bleh. Night Hand glanced down. His upper arm was a mess of blood and cloth and something worse, something sticky, a paste-like yellow pus at the edges of the wound. Again, some details that I'm not sure if I really need, Katherine Rundell. You're a brilliant writer, but I'm about to toss my cookies. Okay, so we know that this is not good. This is an excellent example, however, readers, of using sensory language to really bring the story to life, because I don't know about you, but like I'm smelling it and I'm seeing it and I'm very grossed out. He peeled back the bandage and then with his fingertips pulled away an entire strip of skin as calmly as if flipping through a magazine. My arm does seem to have gone off. Yes, which means like his arm is rotting.
I'm thinking, said Ratwin, that humans are not supposed to smell so much like a swamp, no?
Her small green face was anxious, so Ratwin's worried. Night Hand, you need to take this seriously, said Irian. What did that who did that? Carcadon teeth or horn? If it's teeth, it'll heal, but if it's a horn... Horn. Yes. The horn, that's not good news, has a poison that the Carcadon secretes from a gland at the point. She watched him, and as his expression didn't change, she added, It's bad, Night Hand. I do remember hearing that it wasn't something doctors actively recommend, said Night Hand. He looked as though he were discussing a misprint on a bus timetable. Is there a cure? Stay hydrated, people. I don't know, but we need to get you treatment fast, said Irian. Ratwin, we'll need to reroute.
We will not.
Oh, sorry. We will not. The berserker stared at her. He was suddenly, abruptly, coated in anger. We will go to find gold and then to find murderers. Too much time has been spent already. We don't have more to waste. Night Hand, Irian stepped backward but held his gaze. The poison intensifies over time. What good will you be to the immortal if you are dead? So it seems like this wound could be fatal if he doesn't get treatment. He scowled at her. His hair was more than usually unruly, his face strained. It's a micro, inscrutable skin scrape from an ugly little pony, Irian. So he's really downsizing this pretty serious injury. And he put up a hand as if to shield himself from her look. Do not waste your energy making that face. His own face, unsettled in a way that had not been amid a stampede of Karkadons, turned from her. Night Hand, she said again, and her voice rose, angry now in her turn. I'm asking you to be reasonable. Do I have to beg? But he walked in an uneasy storm of a man away from her. His voice was brusque. Christopher, Maul, where are you? Here, said Christopher, for they had not seen him. Wash yourself in the sea. You must have a powerful impression on the dragon. Dragons notice appearances, and you children look 18 varieties of disgusting. Well, Night Hand, you're really one to talk, considering that your arm's rotting off. But Maul, coming across the deck, glanced at Christopher. Who could see she was thinking the same thing as he was? Night Hand looked equal parts sea, salt, blood, and facial hair. He looked like a crime scene on legs, but Night Hand was unpredictable and angered and 6 feet 10 inches tall. So he did not say it out loud. That's an interesting detail about Night Hand. We know that he's huge. We know he's a berserker. We know that he's passionate. We know that he's pretty grumpy. We did not know he was 6 feet 10 inches tall. That's taller than Michael Jordan. That's really tall. Okay, my friends. So we have a little bit of a break in the page. We know that characters are changing, or some time has passed, or the setting has changed. Let's see what happens. The boat needed their full attention now. So again, I think some time has passed. And they're still on the boat. So same setting, we're still dealing with the same characters. To keep it sail-taut and to navigate the reefs and rocks that rose from the water. Christopher found the place Arit, or the Island of Living Gold, it read on his map. It was barely larger than a pinhead. It's a pretty small place. Anja told us, said Maul, and her lip curled at the name, that the dragon is Ejaculus. She was sitting on the deck, her back against the side, her knees under her chin. She spent a great deal of time like that, sitting, silent, watching the water. What kind is that? I guess I didn't really realize, I don't know about you guys, that there are different types of dragons, but just like there's different types of dogs. My little doggy is sleeping. I think we can get her. Different types of dogs. There's also different types of dragons. I'll add that to my brain. Irian wrinkled her forehead, dredging through the stock of learning. I'm afraid I'm not good on dragons. I know the red-winged, the silver, the yellow, the starlit, the bearded, the orchid dragon, but the sea is my specialism, not the sky. Well, we'll be able to see it, said Maul. I mean, it's a dragon. They're hard to miss, so we'll just wait until it's not there, and then we'll leap onto the island. Seems easy enough. They stopped to refill, with fresh water, dropping anchor in a cove on the island of Karkara. It was uninhabited by humans, but teeming with wildlife. Iron-beaked gaganas flew overhead, glinting in the sun, and as the boat drew in, a cluster of small wildcats with luminescent fur went sprinting away. How cool is that? So we've got like some sort of wildcats, like cougars, with fur that is glowing, luminescent, like a hummingbird. Its feathers are luminescent. That would be really beautiful to witness a large cat with luminescent fur. Carbuncles, said Maul. If you follow them, you can find where they've buried treasure. Although, said Irian, their definition of treasure varies. There's people who've hunted the carbuncles for months and dug up a rat's tail and 3 fish heads. There was, too, a population of freshwater salamanders. The woods and hills were spotted with their pools, with soft steam rising over the water and across the grass around them in a mist. Mal and Christopher bathed in the water of the pools. That sounds really nice. As hot as a bath, warmed by the salamanders' bodies. I don't know who's wanting to take a bath with salamanders. Hot salamanders at that. I'm not sure if that's sounding as relaxing as I had initially thought. Scrubbed at themselves with sea sponges they found on the shore. The scar left by Gallifin on Mal's cheek was still raised and red, and she touched it very gently with her fingertips. She's missing Gallifin immensely. They had competitions over who could hold their breath underwater longest. Mal won. And who could hold an underwater handstand. Christopher won. Mal collapsed immediately, sprang up, spitting up water. They found sap on a slim willowy tree. And I think she said, I don't know, I'm not good at trees. That's not a good sign given the extremely tree-based quest we're on. Keep in mind, they're trying to find that gold so that they can make the potion so that Mal can remember exactly who she is. He replied, and she snorted with laughter. Mal, her spirits rising with every moment they were on the island, showed him how to lift the sap off the bark in long, sticky tendrils. No, watch me. Don't break it off. Peel it. It tasted of charred honey and it was as chewy as licorice. Yum. When they were fully dressed, Mal fished in her pocket for her gold thread to plait it into the back into her hair. Plaiting means braiding. Her hand was searching in her pocket, pulled out the Casparsarin. She frowned at it. Remember, this is what she bought at the very beginning of the book. It's that special compass that leads you to the tree. She frowned at it as the dial swept in a full circle and came to rest. Something's wrong. It was pointing towards Archie. Now it's moved. What does that mean? He looked at it. It's pointing the way we're going, toward the island of living gold. Worry was raising in her eyes, and he thought fast. Maybe, he said, now you're the immortal. I mean, now that you've agreed to it, if you're home? But before he could finish, she broke in. Oh, I know what you mean. Maybe if it points the way home, and if I don't have a home in the archipelago anymore, maybe now it points the way to get me one? Sudden thought clouded him, and before he could stop himself, he blurted out, but wait, does that mean it could point you through the maze without the potion? For a moment, her face convulsed with shock, with hope, with something stranger and more complicated than both, and then she shook her head. The Sphinxes said Da Vinci set the maze with traps. Even if it could, I don't know if it wouldn't be enough. It has to be me. But she held the Casparsarin tightly in her hand, and when she thought he wasn't looking, he saw her press it to her cheek. When you're pressing something to your cheek, so she was kind of touching the scar on her cheek that Gallifin left, and now she's pressing her compass, her Casparsarin, to her cheek. I wonder what is she saying by that action? It's just a small detail that's kind of telling us or giving us some insight as to where she's at emotionally. So this is kind of interesting. We have seen a lot of these just breaks in the page. And now, as I'm going to the top of the next page, we have this symbol, which is telling me that beyond time passing, I'm kind of thinking that there's a bigger shift in the story, and I'm not quite sure what it means yet. And I think the only way we can figure out is by continuing the page. Let's see what this symbol means. At last the wind picked up and they swept over the water into sight of the rock. Even at a distance, it shone like a lighthouse. The island was barely as large as a swimming pool, but the tree... Okay, so now they found their way to the tree. So this symbol, I think, is telling us some time has passed. The setting has changed, and there's something really important about to happen. Broad as an oak and 3 times as high, it gleamed yellow gold radiantly bright in the sunlight, reflecting the movement of the sea on its great trunk. How cool is that? There's no dragon, said Christopher. We should go now. Nighthand got to his feet. He stumbled as he rose. Onward. We got our golden harvesting. We go out golden harvesting. Irian hesitated. Nighthand, she began. It was Moll, though, who spoke. They had agreed, she and Christopher, they had seen that Nighthand would not be able to refuse her, not now when he had vowed to serve her. No, you stay, said Moll. Ratwin's planning the route. Irian's mending the boat. Yeah, there's something going on right now. They're trying to pull something off here. This was a lie. The shadow dancer needed no mending, but somebody needed to stay with Nighthand, and Nighthand, you need to keep watch for the dragon. Me and Christopher will go. There was an argument, of course, but Moll in those last few days had become difficult to gainsay. There was a rigid determination in her face. A fierce certainty had come to her since the night after Galifin's death, and it made her formidable, meaning like powerful. She was more than a match for the berserker. And so it was Christopher and Moll who waited together through knee-deep water up onto the island. They stood looking up at the tree. Up close, its gold nearly blinded them. The surface was textured, molted like bark. I'll climb it, Christopher said. Why you? She looked prepared to fight him. Because if you fell and got hurt or died, the next immortal might never be found, or not for years, and then there would be nobody to get into the maze. That's why. She considered, pride and common sense battling across her face. Fine, get on with it then. I am. Give me a second to look at it. She grinned, despite everything, and circled the tree with him. It didn't look too hard, Christopher thought. He was a strong climber, had climbed all the trees on the heath at home when he was younger. There were knots in the gold bark, some big enough for his foot. Right, he said, and grabbed a golden module that protruded from the trunk. How? It's burning hot from the sun. Oh dear, we didn't think about that. Are your hands blistering? Dip them in seawater. No time, he again set his hand, wincing at the heat on the bark. The tree was hard and unyielding. Imagine how hard it would be to be climbing a golden tree. That's hot. His fingernails bending and scratching against its surface, but it was possible to climb. He reached the first branch and edged along it. From it sprouted another smaller branch, and from that a fan of thinner branches. It seems like the tree wants him to be able to climb it successfully. He took hold of one, thin as his little finger and long as his forearm, and pulled. It snapped off, hot and brittle and radiantly shining. Look out! Catch! And he dropped it down to Moll. He heard her give a small hiss of pleasure. How many branches do we need? He called. I don't know. Better to have too many than too few. He shifted further along, dropping the thin gold twigs down to Moll's waiting hands. Some were harder to snap than others, and he wobbled, lying on his stomach, and wrapped his legs more firmly round the barrel of the branch. Tiny buds had broken out along some, and gold leaves, hard as the bark, were forming. He cleared one whole branch of its twigs and moved higher. The leaves were bigger up here, twice as large as his palm. He moved to snap one off. Stop! Uh-oh. Christopher's heart gave a lurch. He nearly fell. The voice was high and shrill and commanding. The accent was not familiar, not in fact human. I am the Jaculus of Golden Islands, and I command you to stop. Christopher looked about him, but he could not see anything. He hung by his hands and dropped the 8 feet to the ground, landing in an ankle-jarring crouch. Where are you? He called. Here. Oh, by the name of the immortal. Down here. The dragon rose in front of him. It was bright, shining silver with green golden wings. It was the size of a hummingbird, and it was vibrating with affront. Would you like to see it? Sweet little thing. That's a very nice dragon. Mal snorted with laughter. The dragon turned to look at her. You find something amusing? My size, perhaps? No, said Mal, no. I wouldn't dare laugh at a dragon. I am small, but... Mistress, I am not harmless. The dragon turned aside its head and snorted, and a little fireball launched itself from his nostrils. Christopher flinched backward. I am Ejaculus, the tree dragon, and it is my bounden right and duty now to eat you. It was courteous of you to come ready washed. Meaning, thanks for having a bath before I eat you. Christopher's eyes flickered to the boat. It was too far for anyone to hear him shout. The Ejaculus was looking them up and down. You, boy, are not from the enchanted islands. Have not the tales of the mighty miniature dragon reached you in the other lands? Christopher shook his head. The dragons in our stories are all large. I think I'm sorry, he said. Your man, Pliny? He traveled here through the way between. He said he would tell people about me when he returned. You should know about me. He snorted a spark of outraged fire 12 inches from Christopher's elbow. He flinched sideways. Do you have a name? Asked Mal. I have just told you, I am Ejaculus. But I meant I'm called Malum and he's Christopher. To tell you apart from the other Ejaculuses? From whither do they come, those names? I was given mine by my parents, said Christopher. The Ejaculus looked them up and down again. I hatched alone from an egg, said the Ejaculus. No dragon has named me. I have traveled, but never further than I need to go for food. Doesn't have to be your parents. A human can name you. Most of the humans who have come to my island I have burned, as is my duty, at which point any kind of naming would have been impracticable. I've eaten them very slowly over time. The charcoal stops the flesh from rotting. Good to know. Why don't you burn us? The Ejaculus sniffed. The boy, he has his secrets. There is a pull in his blood toward the living world. There is a call in him. Keep in mind, Christopher is special too, right? That's why all living animals are attracted to him. I found myself curious. And you, girl? I know what you are. I can smell the glint in you. Even a kraken would not devour you. It is ill luck to eat an immortal. So this little cutie dragon knows that Mal's the immortal. Yay! Hopefully that will save them. The wind was picking up. Clouds scudded over the sun, and the tree cast a long shadow on the water. Christopher gave a shiver. The island was a harsh place for all its glorious shine. Is it just you here? He said. Oh, sorry, is this? Is it just you here, he said, guarding the tree for 1,000 years? Despite himself, he felt a spark of sympathy for the minuscule, imperious dragon. Won't you start to hate it eventually? It was a mistake. The dragon rose into the air, a flurry of anger in miniature. Upstart! Cut! You presume... Upstart, cut. You presume too far. I will not harm the immortal, but I will eat you. Wait, I only meant, don't you get lonely? Ejaculus gave a low rumble in its throat. It sounded like a warning. Dragons do not feel loneliness. This is an emotion for humankind and perhaps some of the weaker dryads. It snorted fire. But why do you stay here, said Mal. You could fly anywhere. The Ejaculus must guard the tree of living gold. How do you know if you've never had other dragons to tell you what to do? The Ejaculus's voice was querulous. How does a bird know which is the route to fly south from Paraspara to Edom each year? I simply know it to be so, and I have learned a great deal from the humans who have come before I ate them. I have learned language, Arabic, Sanskrit, Old French. 200 years ago, an explorer came and taught me English. I did not eat him until I had learned all the irregular verbs. But you never learned your name? He hesitated, then nodded his dragon head. I did not. If we gave you a name, said Christopher, and if I swore when I got back to my world to tell stories of the importance of the Jaculus, would you let us go? You write about me? A chronicle? Yes, exactly. It is true that dragons need those who sing of them in the outer lands. Without the songs, they are diminished. Christopher nodded, and Mal nodded beside him, feverishly up and down. I can do that, he said. I can swear. The dragon hesitated. And it would have to be a good name, he said, or I would have to burn you and feast upon your body. It is very funny imagining this little hummingbird-sized dragon being so harsh and, I don't know, intimidating. Christopher met Mal's eyes. She looked briefly panicked. Her lips formed the word Norman? How about Jacques? He said quickly. The Jaculus considered. Jacques the Jaculus. It is not too simple? Neat, not simple, said Mal. Smart, elegant. Spelled Jacquus, said Christopher. There had been a boy at school called Jacques, but pronounced Jacques. So you would have silent letters, which are just right for you. Jacques, said the dragon. He looked again at Christopher and at the gold. Then, without blinking, he took off into the air. I must tell someone, he said. I must introduce myself. Jacques. So these clever kids seem to have really pleased this little dragon with by giving him a name. What a simple thing to kind of outsmart him out of making them his lunch. So that is the end of the chapter, my friend. I am afraid to tell you that the next chapter is called The Island of Murderers, which seems really scary, and I don't know, oh my gosh. I'm happy we're reading it together. I don't know if I would be brave enough to read it by myself. With that, my friends, we are going to pause our story. I cannot wait to keep reading with you. I hope you're enjoying the sunshine and the summer. We have, yesterday we were 1 month out to going back to school. So we have less than a month of summer left. I hope you're making every day count. I hope you're filling every single day with lots of fun and sunshine. And I hope you're doing something that makes your heart sing. Hope you're reading. Maybe you're writing about what you're reading, talking to your family about it. I want you to be thinking about what's going to happen next in our story. And until we meet again, I love you, and we'll see you soon.